Welcome everybody to Pop Culture. I'm Scott.
I'm Jason.
And I'm Monica.
And this episode we are talking about Kate, the new Netflix action thriller, which just dropped this week, starring Mary Elizabeth Winstead, in a movie you've seen before.
Yep. a few times.
Patience.
John Wick, Gunpowder Milkshake, Kill Bill,
Atomic Blonde.
Crank. Yep. Crank 2.
Yeah.
This is. Look, I didn't hate it.
It was okay. Yeah.
But calling it derivative is an understatement.
Well, I guess now we have to say that that's a genre in itself.
Kind of.
Yeah, and there's just these permutations of that lone expert killer taking vengeance. Yeah, but it's I don't know. It can be a bit tired though. I guess the issue with doing that is you really need something new to it, and it doesn't quite do it.
Upping the gore and upping the, I don't know, colourfulness doesn't really wow me anymore. That said, I did enjoy this a lot more than Gunpowder Milkshake, which was sort of the last time I watched this movie.
I find this movie's a little bit more, I guess, trying to compensate with the visual style and the gore while fully knowing that the story isn't where it needs to be.
Gunpowder Milkshake was exactly the same. Like, it was the same candy-coloured style. It was the same violence. I just found I believed Mary Elizabeth Winstead a lot more than I believed Karen Gillan.
Yeah, and I have to say, Mary Elizabeth Winsted did a really good job in this movie. I thought, she acted the crap out of it. I believe
it was the only thing holding my attention was like she was really good.
She was excellent.
Yeah, she certainly held the entire film. It keeps you watching, and
her back must be sore.
Her participation in the action sequences I noticed was a little more than you'd expect.
Mm-hmm.
It was very impressive what she did, and just the nuances in her acting too. So it was a lot more subtle.
It really was, and I sort of also appreciated that, she's a woman who is getting progressively more sick as the story goes along, and you can sort of see the weariness, you can sort of see her making that effort to sort of change the way that, the character moves, is struggling to talk or to breathe and gets tired, and that also pairs nicely with the job that they've done with all the makeup and her appearance as the film goes on. So
she degrades.
She looks freaking, oh God, very, very sick, but she looks great. Politely.
Yes,
and so does the actual visuals of the film. I mean, it's the production design, the look of it, and it's sort of what it made me consider was how Japan does provide these really great sort of visual landscapes to work in, whether it's the tight streets or billboards, moving animated
neon.
Billboards on, and then the neon.
It struck me of kind of like a little bit of Blade Runner 2049 with the kind of those use of these kind of neon billboards and stuff, but then down to like the kind of Kill Bill, like where they're in the kind of tea house.
Yeah, and all the different sort of tight spaces. Yeah,
and then like black and white.
And then traditional Japanese homes with the rice paper walls and things like that with the grids and sort of, it looks really, really nice. And I think that also helps you keep watching. There's no sort of letdown from that.
No, not at all.
Wise, like I said, you've seen this. If you've seen Crank, you've seen the plot. Like, our hero assassin has got 24 hours to live and a whole lot of vengeance to dish out, and that's
I couldn't help but feel, I'm not sure about you two, but the look of of our hero with her shorn hair and her green jacket. Did you get Ripley from Alien? Because I did.
I did get vibes of Sigourney Weaver.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Oh, I'm so glad it wasn't me.
Yeah. No, but I think it was also her acting.
Yes.
And just, I don't know, the way she sort of paced the character and responded to things just smacked of, Ripley. Yeah. And Sigourney Weaver. And I certainly had those vibes.
By the end of the film.
Well, that pushed it over the edge, but prior to that, I was already getting that. It was sort of like I was going, this sort of feels a bit familiar.
Yeah, and then they go ahead and give her a kid sidekick.
Yeah, exactly right.
Who might be the most annoying character in a film in a really long time.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. I wasn't.
It annoyed the shit out of me. And if I never have to hear the phrase "cancer bitch" again in my life, I'll be quite happy.
Yeah, that was a little bit
like the most aggressive.
Yeah, she wasn't well set, that character, in terms of even why she was like she was. You had a whole lot of exposition for that. There was also this weird, awkward cultural clash concept that just didn't work. It seemed to be disingenuous. If they have these moments of harassing the West and then, the Japanese culture and having its view of the West and the West of Japanese culture, and it just seemed to sit really awkwardly in there where they brought that in.
Yeah, it was a huge disconnect that I don't think they really sort of bridged together there, particularly because one of the characters played by Woody Harrelson is the one that's trying to sort of like integrate into this Japanese culture without really understanding it, and it just, as you say, it sort of comes off quite disingenuous, like it's sort of a surface level understanding of Japanese culture when it's really, there's a lot more to it than that, and it doesn't come across as very genuine in the film.
And it was like a base understanding of like, oh, they have honor and stuff.
Yes, or family.
Let's roll with that.
Yeah, they use the theme of family as well, which is, what they use in the Fast and Furious films, it's like family is everything. And I was just like, oh, for God's sakes. Is Vin Diesel going to pop up in this movie? Oh, let's hope not.
What a crossover.
100%
It's a sequel here.
K2.
Oh, God.
Pre-Kate, I don't know.
Before Kate. Whoa, settle down, Siri.
Kate 2, Tokyo Drift.
You even get the neon sports cars in it as well.
Yeah, you do. And the bright pink bridal car, right? Is that the one that we're talking about? Yeah, that looks cool.
They put it on the poster for a scene.
I liked her reaction to it, but it also shows how she tended to take a very authentic approach to it. So it was, she has this sort of like bit of a startled look when she gets in it and it all starts up. So.
Yeah, for sure. I'd freak out too, being like, oh, okay, we're doing this.
Like, I didn't hate it. Like, I think ultimately, like, I do feel like I've seen this movie a couple of times this year. Like, it reminded me so much of the John Wick's Nobody was another movie that basically felt the same. And maybe you're right. Maybe it's just this new genre that's kind of your no-nonsense protagonists. Maybe it started with Taken. Maybe it's all coming from that kind of...
And also, you have this subgenre also, which is a good thing. More female assassin leads as well.
Yeah, I mean, coming back from like Nikita and stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Which is something that I'm really happy to start seeing more of. Don't get me wrong. I just wish that maybe it was a better story to tell. Yeah.
But that said, though, I would happily pay to watch Mary Elizabeth Winsted in another action movie. I thought she was phenomenal.
Oh, yeah, she did a tremendous job. I'd love to see her in more action movies. Yeah, please give her all the contracts.
Because she was Birds of Prey was, I think, the last thing she did. She was in, she was Huntress in the Harley Quinn movie.
Ah, okay. Yeah. And she also did quite a fair bit of action in Scott Pilgrim versus the World, too, the sort of video game fight style.
Sorry, my cat is just meowing at me.
It wants something. That's what they do, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you know, she was in the Thing prequel as well. And,
Death Proof?
Yes, Death Proof.
Yep, Death Proof as well. So she's sort of getting a bit of a niche in that action area. So I imagine we're going to see more of her.
Yeah.
And after that sort of, I guess, physical involvement in this one, I can see her probably keep pushing it further and further. I mean, I don't know whether it's just all acting and preparation or whether she's actually right into sort of doing those sorts of martial arts and so on, but I can certainly see it happening.
Kate too, maybe.
Another name, Sandra. No, but yeah, look, it's an enjoyable film. I think away from it going, well, that was not worth watching whatsoever, but I wouldn't expect a lot more than just a mild, entertaining
it didn't blow my socks off, that's for sure.
No, it's one of those movies that you can sort of have on in the background and be like, oh yeah, it's all right.
Yeah, I'm not disappointed I watched it, put it that way.
No, not at all.
So, Kate, on Netflix, if you want a balls-to-the-wall female shoot-'em-up samurai poisoned race car action movie. Sure.
You think that was the premise they wrote up? The pitch?
They just had words in a hat.
The dartboard. Female. Oh, okay. Japan. Oh, there we go. Done. Writes itself.
Thank God.
All right. Thank you guys so much for listening to this episode of Popped Culture. Our next episode this week is going to be a cult classic, and it's a fun one. I've been Scott.
I'm still Jason.
And I'm still Monica.